Education is considered an important ingredient in the Prime Minister's recipe for a clever country. The Open Foundation course is designed for mature-age students wanting to enter into mainstream university studies. Today, those interested in taking up the challenge attended information sessions which outlined available subjects and academic options. The 12-month course is offered at Muswellbrook and Ourimbah as well as Newcastle. Students take on 2 subjects from a choice of 21 and attend lectures each week. For 57-year-old Terry Tomlin, the bite of the recession brought an end to 35 years in the manufacturing industry. He's hoping the Open Foundation course will pave the way for a law degree and believes his mature age is an advantage.
I find you can study better, you can research better, and you've got the experience of life which enables you to be serious about what you want to do. And I recommend it to anyone to keep them mentally young and mentally stimulated.
Melinda Smith, NBN News. The marching koalas provided a fitting fanfare for the occasion. Special guests also included a Japanese delegation from the Hunters' sister school Tanagura, north of Tokyo, arriving especially for the occasion. Inside, students from a number of schools joined talents to wish the man responsible for guiding their education a happy retirement. The Hunter singers provided toe-tapping entertainment and students were able to personally thank Mr Beard for his efforts. He says he'll miss serving the Hunters schools, but today's tribute will be a lasting reminder.
There's a wonderful warm feeling inside, and I'll always remember it, of course. It's a wonderful memory to take with me.
It's been 51 years since Marjorie Gregory first stood behind the toad window at Broadmeadow. Only 17 years old, she was the link between the punters and the betting market. Those were the days when punting was personal, the days when you knew the operator.
The people that would come up at the death and say, "Marjorie, what's horse number so-and-so?" and it'd be 1 second to go, you know.
For 6 years, Marge operated the tote out of this grand old building. Memories came flooding back as an old ticket machine was dusted off.
Well, there was a lot of personal history in the old ticket machines, and you had a lot of personal contact. The new technology that's coming up is fantastic and it's terrific for the punters, but you're going to lose that personal contact.
She then switched to a supervising role, changing jobs as the operators found a unique way to change buildings.
Well, they were old tram cars because you couldn't get building equipment in the war years, so they bought old tram cars and they just built around the front of them and set the windows up, and they were terrific. They really worked very well.
At 68, Marge says it's time to quit before she's forced to retire at 70. And although not a gambler, she'll still be involved thanks to a life membership at the NJC. So, what about the odds of a comeback?
No odds on me making a comeback. No, once you go, you go.
With more than $1,200 prize money on offer, the event drew a top field of male and female competitors from northern New South Wales. Some of the region's junior talent was also on show, with Casino's Warren Lake taking out the under-17s 8-lap scratch race. In the women's 5-lap event, Coffs Penny Meakin led the field. Current Australian veteran sprint champ Greg Barnes turned on the heat to win the men's Open B-grade 10-lap race, while in the elimination final, Coffs Harbour's Darren Sheridan put in an outstanding race to finish first. The action went into the night with a thrilling finish in the Kieran event, a 6-lap scratch race featuring the Carnival's Top Guns, with Matthew Fuller claiming victory from Darren Sheridan. Despite a week of solid rain, conditions were ideal for racing last night, and the young guns took full advantage of the track. A new 6-lap record was set in the Stars sprint event, former national champ Gary Rush claiming victory from Brooke Tatnall. There was action aplenty in the preliminary events, Brett Lansley claiming a perfect 10 for this pirouette. Grant Tunks wasn't so lucky. His car lost power and was slammed into by Steve Horn. Tunks walked away, but later collapsed and was treated by ambulance officers. The 20-lap sprint went down to the wire, youngster Gary Brazier claiming a popular win from Tatnall and Rush.
It survived more than a year on the drawing board, survived a public referendum with a 60% no vote. Today the future of Port Macquarie's new base hospital was signed, sealed and soon to be delivered.
Today we are getting on with the job of building a new hospital for the people of Port Macquarie.
The government intends to transform this model into a medical first within 2 years. Australia's first private hospital offering full public services. Private operators legally bound to offer 70 of the 160 beds to public patients.
The services in Port Macquarie for people who do not have health insurance will be improved and they'll have greater access than they do now, and it won't cost them any money.
The people, the community of Port Macquarie are more protected than anyone else in New South Wales about getting their health care.
Not so supportive the opposition, adamant building plans are premature. The decision has been rushed and must be reversed.
We want our healthcare system planned on health needs, not on profits for investors.
Andrew Rafshorgi will seek independent support to force a halt to any privatisation plan. The government is confident the success of Port Macquarie will pave the way for our medical facilities of the future. 3 more private-public joint ventures are already on the drawing board, 2 for Sydney, 1 planned for the Hawkesbury region. The government claims building will commence at Port Macquarie in April, the facility complete by late 1994. Mark Ferguson, National 9 News.
One of the area's worst storms ever knocked out power supplies, caused millions of dollars damage and killed 15 people. In Pittsburgh, 3 printing company workers were killed when a roof collapsed. 6 others died in Pennsylvania. Deaths in other states included people killed in car crashes on slippery roads and at least 2 people overwhelmed by floodwaters. The storm bore down on New England, dumping 70 centimetres of snow and whipping up high waves that forced the closure of Boston's seaside Logan Airport. The heavy wet snow broke power lines across Massachusetts, leaving 56,000 people without electricity. On the New Jersey shore, surging tides 1.5 metres above normal inundated the area for the second morning in a row, tearing at already damaged boardwalks. A state of emergency is still in effect for the New York and New Jersey coastal areas.
Motorists caught in the downpours had to contend with temporary flooding on some roads. Ambulance officers say they were called out to nearly a dozen minor accidents. The wet weather resulted in slippery conditions, slowing early morning traffic. Some commuters opted for manpower. Rainfall of up to 80 millimetres has been reported in the last 24 hours. The Weather Bureau says the rain will clear during the weekend, but it looks like the wet weather is here to stay for a little while longer. Above average rainfalls are predicted throughout the summer months.
The old building was old and it was no longer very suitable. In fact, it could be said it was never very suitable. It was built on multiple levels and the production area was a long way away from the studios. It was simply very inconvenient.
So ends half a century of broadcasting from Newcommon Street. This is 2NC's new home. Broadcasts from the Parry Street studios, aired via a bamboozling array of gadgetry, begin at midnight.
There are no turntables, there are no tape recorders, there are no cart machines. All that's in the studio apart from microphones is a couple of computer touchscreens sitting there glowing in red, green and yellow and blue and whatever colours. All of these remotely control the various things. For instance, the music will all come from CDs and they'll be out in huge jukebox devices out in the record library, so there'll be a couple of thousand tracks constantly loaded, and to play music you simply call up the appropriate number on the touch screen and hit start and away it goes.
The Knights under-17 SG Ball and the under-19 Jersey Flegg teams are Newcastle's rugby league future.
The junior feeder system is really important.
Pretty important himself, Peter Sharp. Under his guidance, the SG Ball side won the comp in 1990. In 92, the Jersey Flegg did the same. The New South Wales Rugby League has acknowledged the former Maitland coach for his talents, the Junior Rep Coach of the Year. So what's his secret?
A good football team. That's the secret to a success. No, organisation, I think, is one of the bottom lines, and a reasonable amount of knowledge.
Peter says he'll coach Jersey Flegg again next year. From there, who knows? But he does admit to being ambitious. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
The Putty Road between Singleton and Windsor has claimed scores of lives over the years, and today the tragic count rose by 2. About 9:30 this morning, a 64-year-old man and a 52-year-old woman from near Bowral were driving north in their hatchback. Police say 80 kilometres south of Singleton, the couple crossed to the wrong side of the road and collided head-on with a station wagon driven by a 43-year-old man from Wentworthville in Sydney's west. The 64-year-old hatchback driver died instantly. Emergency services worked for 2.5 hours to free the others from the wreckage. The Hunter's rescue helicopter flew the 2 survivors to the John Hunter Hospital, but the woman died this afternoon. The 43-year-old man is in a serious condition with multiple injuries. Police are yet to release the names of those involved in the crash. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
First, over here. Okay. We have already covered in our minds the things that you have mentioned. And prayers and the list that you will decide.
Nobody doubts lead pollution from cars, industry, even paints and pesticides is a serious health issue. It's now a serious political issue as well. The member for Wallsend, John Mills, accusing the government of wasting precious time on releasing an important lead report.
A month ago, Jeff Hunter and I were able to be briefed by EPA people about what was in the document and indeed to make some suggestions about what else ought to be in it. But it should have gone to Cabinet on the week of the 8th of December.
Environment Minister Chris Hartcher denies the report is being delayed. His office says it will be put before Cabinet early next year as planned. The report is believed to look at the South Australian experience with work on the Port Pirie lead smelter and also includes studies of lead in petrol and in children's blood. The Environment Minister has on 2 occasions been forced to postpone trips to Bullaroo to inspect its lead smelter. It's believed he will visit sometime in the new year.
From a rich history in the old mining suburb of Redhead, the fate of 9 century-old buildings at the former Lambton Colliery has been decided in the Land and Environment Court this week. After a 4-day hearing, the court today upheld an appeal by the mine's owner, FAI Property Services, against Lake Macquarie City Council over the demolition of the buildings. The court ordered the company's application to demolish all pre-1920 buildings be approved, subject to the demolition being postponed until June 28th next year. The preservation of the buildings was deemed to be unsustainable unless they have a valid use, but the court added that if a use for any of the structures arises before then, those demolition orders can be amended. With that in mind, FAI and the council will be meeting early in the new year to discuss the possibility of saving the buildings, such as incorporating them in an urban development. Lake Macquarie Mayor Doug Carley says while he's disappointed by the decision, he's hopeful the buildings can still be saved. Avi Rubenstein from FAI Property Services says the structures built after 1920 on the site will be demolished very early in the new year in accordance with the court's orders. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
The risks may have been exaggerated in National Lampoon's movie Christmas Vacation, but according to the New South Wales Fire Brigade, the dangers are real enough. Children playing with lighters and matches are the #1 hazard, and that includes those seemingly innocent Christmas candles.
We do not leave cigarettes or matches around, and we had several incidents in recent times where tragedies have occurred.
Even cooking the Christmas dinner can add extra risks, and then there's overloading power points and Christmas trees.
The historic Customs House was one of many buildings in Newcastle damaged in the earthquake. During the last 3 years, it's undergone extensive restoration work. It was supposed to be officially open today, but rain had hindered its completion. Instead, the public was given the opportunity to see how the $3.8 million is being used. A consultant will determine how best to use the building.
It might be used as an annex for a university. It's got potential for perhaps an upper-class restaurant, or it could even revert back to offices, or a combination of both.
The gathering at Customs House was the only recognition of the 3rd anniversary of the earthquake. However, it's a part of the city's history which can't be forgotten. Every day, Howard Gibson says he's reminded of the earthquake. He's now duty manager of the Newcastle Workers Club. But 3 years ago, he was cleaning the main auditorium when it collapsed.
I went downstairs into the what was called the mezzanine lounge, and the whole horror of what had happened unfolded there. Of course, there was just a massive concrete and rubble and people and a real disaster.
Downstairs, many of the same people are again playing Hoi. The game had just begun when the quake hit.
3 of clubs, 3 of clubs, Jack of diamonds, Jack of diamonds.
And out on the streets, the memory is also lucid for many Novocastrians. What were you doing when the earthquake hit Newcastle?
Just housework.
And what did you think when you felt it?
Well, the whole house shook and the floor shook. And I just couldn't get out of the house. Just the floor went from under me and I just couldn't get out of the house.
I actually had an idea that it was an earthquake because all the walls shook, you know, and the lights went out. And I was glad to get out.
It just started happening, like everything started shaking, all these books fell on me. And I just saw the walls all moving and I got a real shock and yeah.
And I just walked into the back bedroom and the room went like this, you know. And I thought, and a huge bang, and I thought, oh, a semi's gone into the side of it.
I was at my sister's place and I was eating my eggs on toast, and then it happened, and then my eggs just came off my toast and started shaking all over the place, and then the table started shaking. We thought a truck ran into the house.
Those who experienced the earthquake will never forget what they were doing at 10:28 on the 28th of December 1989. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
I just hope he is out there and he does answer someone.
Knocked the door down, mate, and this guy, we found him halfway up the hall.
United they stood, and united they won.
There was never anyone quite like him, nor will there ever be again.
$71 million plus $30 million plus 18,000 jobs. Why would not a Lord Mayor be very pleased?
They say big is beautiful, and you only have to look at these babies to understand why. They are Newcastle's 10 biggest toddlers. The competition was run by radio station New FM as part of its promotion for the movie Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Each of the babies was weighed, not a popular move for some, but others took great delight in being the centre of attention. The title of the city's biggest bub went to 11-month-old Matthew Smodilla of Maryland. He weighed in at 14.65 kilograms, as much as a 3-year-old. That feat swept some off their feet. 10-month-old Ty Alchin of Yarrawonga Park was second at 14.45 kilos, which greatly upset his nearest rival, Andrew Power of Katara Heights. But young Matthew Smodilla was unconcerned about the antics of his lightweight opponents, as he was the beefiest bub.
They've come thundering into every kid's wish list over the past year like a runaway train.
It's here to stay. It's not going to go away.
But as rollerblading leaps in popularity, so does the concern of the authorities in wondering where and when the skaters can do their tricks without injuring themselves or the public.
Depends on the actual skater, how responsibly they skate. If they take it easy around public access ways and don't go on main roads, stay away from traffic and just behave responsibly and learn their limits, then they should be right.
At the moment, skaters can cop a $36 fine for rollerblading in public places, and that was something this Newcastle Council officer was quick to tell the group from the Steel City Bladers. But the question that thousands of rollerbladers ask is where can they skate without being stopped dead in their tracks by the police or the council?
It's good to see that everyone's starting to notice rollerblades, like, you know, we should have an area to skate, but no one's actually done anything to give us one.
James Musgrave believes Newcastle City Council should designate rollerblading areas. The council is preparing a report on rollerblading and places where it could be held in the city. That report is expected to go before the Alderman early next year. Scott Bevan, NBN News. While last year's state road toll of 650 was the lowest in 42 years, the number of fatalities in the Hunter had tragically increased. According to comparative figures based on local government areas, only Newcastle and Port Stephens recorded a drop in the numbers killed on the roads during 1991. Cessnock's road fatalities jumped by 3, Gosford's doubled to 14, while Lake Macquarie's rose by 5 and Singleton's by 6.
Well, I still think we've got the problem with the drink driving, but not as severe as it was, and I believe it's combined with the speed, we're still having those fatalities.
Drink driving and speeding have been targeted by police in their Operation Safe Arrival over the past week. Newcastle Highway Patrol has so far charged 33 people with drink driving, while double that number have been caught in the Maitland area. But the most worrying statistics for the police are those for speeding. 1,155 fines have been handed out in Newcastle and 1,212 in Maitland.
We've had double our speeds compared to last year. We have 1,155 people reported for exceeding the speed limit.
Speeds of up to 180 kilometres an hour were reached in a chase through the Lower Hunter overnight. A Singleton man allegedly sped off from a random breath testing unit on the New England Highway near the town and raced through Maitland, Curry and Glendale before being stopped by a police roadblock in Newcastle early this morning. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
A peaceful Sunday morning was interrupted by a loud crash just after 9:30 this morning. Police say the Ford Escort sedan veered to the wrong side of the road, jumped the gutter, crashed through a water main and the neighbouring fence before smashing into the side of the house. The weatherboard dwelling is owned by sisters Harriet and Rita James, visibly shaken by the ordeal. The rescue unit worked for some time to free the elderly man's body, pulling the crushed vehicle from under the house. Ambulance officers say it's believed the 78-year-old man suffered a heart attack while driving along Main Road.
More than 30 teams from Sydney, Newcastle and the Mid-North Coast competed in the Tui Surfboat Classic. The highlight of the program was the open boat race, which was won by Collaroy Surf Club. It was an extremely close finish, with only centimetres separating the freshwater team in second place and North Narrabeen in third. The Ironman competition was won by local competitor Daniel Fay of Cape Hawke. Michelle Kent claimed the Diamond Lady. On overall points, Newcastle's Redhead Club came out on top, followed by Cape Hawke and Taree Old Bar. It's a problem made worse by the recession, and although the halls of the Hunter Institute of Technology were quiet today, concern over enrolment figures is already prompting action. By next month, the 15 Hunter campuses will have taken 25,000 enrolments. The figure is expected to reach 44,000 by the end of the year. There's no doubt the demand has increased in this region, and officials are quick to admit there'll be problems.
We anticipate that there'll be some courses for which many students will be unable to gain a place.
These shortages will occur in the high demand areas such as childcare and welfare work, where at least 6 applications have been received for each position available. In the associate diploma courses, about 3,600 applications have been received for 1,700 positions. It's estimated there'll be 7,000 applications for the 5,000 certificate course positions.
However, it's a much more complex situation than that, insofar as that is true of those students who've applied, but we don't know how many of those will actually turn up in February.
Mr. Jordan has a simple message for worried applicants.
Always come down to either Newcastle or any of your local campuses, enrol. What have you got to lose? Come in and enrol. See if there is a place. If there isn't a place, keep your options open.
Matthew White, NBN News. Light rain fell on the picturesque Gosford course throughout the day, but that didn't stop a team of 30 professionals teeing off for the $5,000 event. In an age when golf is dominated by the power hitters, the chance to relive a golden era was a welcome change. Leading the charge was Gosford's own Billy Dunk, a legend of the senior circuit. Dunk may have the home course advantage, but he was obviously not happy with this shot. Other pros included Ted Ball, Wold Gale, Cole Johnston and Frank Phillips. Ian Alexander won the event with a 2-under 69. Dunk finished second with an even par 71. Tomorrow the main event gets underway with more than 70 pros vying for a total purse of $25,000 in the Elgas Pro-Am.